Do you like comic books, graphic novels, conversations with creative people that are chatty and fun and real and genuine? Then you'll like this video. Hello and welcome to this podcast conversation of the Epic Kate Show. Welcome, Mr. Winston Gambro. How do you pronounce your name?
You got it, yeah.
I got
Gambro.
it. Nice. It could have been more European, like Gambro. Gambro.
No. When we immigrated here, we were Gambaro, and my great grandfather said, that's too Italian. We got to get rid of that A."
That's sad. I love it. Gambaro is much cooler. I mean, you have a cool name too, but your grandpa was wrong.
It's all right. It worked out. It was easy to get a Twitter handle.
Oh yeah. I love these stories. It's so cool how we're all just these European mongrels walking around. Like we've all of us have got like a million different nationalities rolling around in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my mom's really into like ancestry and stuff. I'm just like, I just say we're European. I'll take a little from all the countries, I'm sure.
Yeah, my dream is to go to Scotland and to take back the castle that the Farquharson clan took from us.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's called the Braemar Castle, and it was built by an Erskine, and that's my maiden name. So therefore, the castle is mine. I'm a Scottish princess, and I need to put on my blue war paint.
Yeah, I think legally you got some kind of hold on that, like bring a sword to the courtroom.
Yeah. So you are an artist, a graphic novelist, and things like. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm a comic book creator, artist, writer. I'm also a graphic designer. Basically anything visual that doesn't move, I can usually do. So comic books I've made, I did a cyberpunk dystopia called Overflow that was very sad. Then I moved on to an all ages kids book called Rex Radley Boy Adventurer. And currently I am writing a detective comedy mystery called Gumshoe City about a world of only detectives.
Huh. It's funny mentioning the whole detectives thing immediately brought my brain to, have you ever seen the 1980s, what is it, Star Trek Next Generation?
No. My Star
Oh,
Trek knowledge is lacking.
oh, well, you got to go watch that. Patrick Stewart, man, enough said, right? But they
Mm-hmm.
have these wonderful episodes. They're like Sherlock Holmes themed. So there's this room in the ship that they can program in whatever they want, and it's like they're really there in Paris, 1800s, or they're really there, like. So yeah. Anyway, little side note there for you, for people who love the old school detective stuff.
Oh, that's very much up my alley.
Sounds like you just will not be defined by a genre. It's like the things you mentioned were all so different.
Yeah, I definitely kind of get bored easily. Like, I with each project, every time I draw, I try and mix it up a little, and that probably mixes more into my individual projects as well. Something that Overflow was kind of my first big project, and it was inspired by the 2016 election, which kind of emotionally destroyed me. And after doing 100, so I do roughly a page a week, and it was over like 110 pages, so it was 110 weeks of just living in this very sad mindscape over and over and over. I was like, all right, I need to not do sad books anymore. And that, so I've kind of branched out into happier stuff after that.
But it was also kind of a way of processing your feelings of this really difficult time.
Yes, exactly.
Like we got to let our emotions just kind of run the course.
Yeah, it was a way to process it, but I literally couldn't process it. Not to bring down the room, but
Oh no, I
I
hear
was
you.
just shocked. It was
Yeah.
not good.
There are a lot of us that were pretty shocked. What was more shocking for me was the perseverance to revere this guy. by
my
the people
God.
that I grew up with who called themselves believers in Jesus.
Ugh. I mean, there's a quote that's been on my mind recently. I'm sure I'm going to mess it up, but it's like, when the devil comes to America, he'll be wearing a cross and draped in the American flag.
It's
Boy, this is a heavy
heartbreaking.
interview.
It's still heartbreaking. You probably noticed on my channel there's quite a lot of deconstruction going on of just dealing with all this stuff. I used to be much more quiet about it and wanting to spare people's feelings and not alienate family members and whatnot. And then after the Capitol, I was like, screw it. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to say what I want to say. And I'm going to be open about being an LGBTQ supporter. And I'm going to help people tell their stories. So next week, I'm talking to the director of 1946. Are you familiar with that project?
I'm not. Can you tell me about it?
Yes! It is a movie documentary about how the word homosexual was not in the Bible until 1946.
Whoa. That's interesting.
Because and if you're interested in this, I have a conversation with the queer pastor about how every single one of those 6 or 7 verses that people use to slam the LGBTQ, all of them have to do with idol worship and abuse.
Okay.
They don't have to do with consensual, loving relationships. They have to do with.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Wow. That is an interesting project. Yeah, I'll definitely watch that interview.
Yeah, so I hear you about dealing with stuff and using art. Like my art is videos, and it's not as interesting. I mean, there's something so special about a comic that you have this story contained in the pictures complement the words, and it's this thing you experience. And I think that's really great because that can reach the people that really resonate with that.
Oh, that's the hope anyway.
Yeah. The hard thing though is to find your people, isn't it?
Yes, it is very hard to build an audience.
Oh, and
Are you
that's why.
experiencing that as well?
Oh yeah, totally. All of us creators are like, where do we find the people? We know that what we're doing is great. We know that it has value. And how do we find the people that are going to see the value in it?
And then the doubt, it's like, well, maybe people aren't into it because it's not good. Oh God, am I crazy?
The struggle is real. The imposter syndrome.
Yes, very much that.
Mm.
And I have heard the advice: just create something you would like, and at least you'll have one fan.
I like it. But yeah, if you don't love what you do, then other people won't. So that's very, very true. So you're a fan of yourself then?
Somewhat.
Do you draw and write the words together, or do you collaborate with other people?
Yeah, I basically any part of the process I'll have a hand in various projects. Like I don't draw Gumshoe City. That's a very skilled man named Michael Lee Harris.
So do you ever like something clicks and it comes together and you just like, and then you realize you haven't gone to the bathroom in a while, and then like as you go, you're like, that is so good. I love it.
Actually,
I do that.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely hit me. Have you seen the Pixar movie Soul?
Not yet. I've wanted to for so long.
I highly recommend it, especially as like a fellow creative. I think you'll really appreciate it. And they have a part of being in the zone, and like creatives just they kind of focus out everything, even bathroom needs, and I'll be like, oh, I should get a drink of water, and an hour has passed, and and exactly like in the film, like time will pass, they'll enter another universe. It's incredibly well done.
I've talked about that with a few different legends now. Like, it's crazy how this opportunity has opened up to be working with this lady who is booking people for me that have these incredible histories, like Scott Page from Pink Floyd. and Leland Sklar, who is a world-renowned bassist who's worked with everybody. Like, these amazing people are going to be coming on this channel. By the time this video goes up, they'll already be here, so you should go and watch it. But they talk about being in the zone and that creative place where time doesn't exist, and when they're just playing their instruments and they listen to it again later and they're like, that was way better than I ever could have done it. Like, I was just in this place where I wasn't thinking and it was coming out of me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love to talk to other creative people who know that feeling of just bouncing away, leaving the work and bouncing away because you're just like, oh, I'm so proud of this.
Yeah, like when you feel inspired when it's not an actual chore, it's like what actually got you started in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so thankful that my job right now is editing YouTube videos for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not always exciting. It's not always giving me that sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. But when I'm able to get those videos where they really give me their heart and their personality, so I really have this to pull from, and I find the perfect music to make it pull it all together, and then I'm just like, and the people let me play. That's the best thing.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can create your own little art form out of it. It's not just information processing.
Yeah. So in your collaborative process, how does that work? Do people like trust you to do your thing, or do they say, actually, can you adjust this a little bit?
It kind of depends on the collaborator. Everyone has their own speeds. So a comic script is pretty similar to a movie script, where instead of broken down by like scenes, it's broken down by panel. So it would say like panel 1, Batman looks over his shoulder. Panel 2, Batman throws batarang. But then depending on who's writing it, it could be as simple as what I just said, or it could be Batman looks over his shoulder with 3 paragraphs of facial expression. Batman throws the batarang using his right hand. His 2 left fingers are clutched underneath. Rain hits him. Like, it is totally up to them. And if I forget what's in the script and I forget the 2 fingers, is the writer going to be like, oh, it's important for the plot that his fingers were under there, or are they going to forget they even wrote it? That's a big thing for me. Like in Gumshoe City recently, I wrote a detailed scene for the artist, and I wrote specifically, I'm sorry if I'm being mean here, please draw this statue in the corner, it's very plot important. In 20 pages, when they talk about this missing statue, I want to be able to point back at this.
Oh, that's so interesting. And so if there is a conflict, like if the artist really thinks, oh, but it would be so much better to have this expression highlighted, it would just draw the story out so much more if I could just do it my way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for instance, Gumshoe City, he's bringing so much more to the table. Like, I'll get pages back from him and it will be so much more physical comedy than I wrote into the script, because I'm not really from a cartoon background, and I think his art is so beautifully animated and like meant for cartoons that it's like watching a Looney Tunes, that he'll put in physical gags and physical expressions and acting that I was not expecting.
That is such
And
a neat process.
it is such a cool collaboration that even like what's in my original head can easily be topped by the surprise when I get the pages every day.
Oh, neat. But like back in the day, you would have worked in person, and now you're still kind of, or are you in different parts of the US?
Yeah, we're in different parts of the US. I believe he's in Georgia, and I'm currently drawing a story from a writer in California, so
Okay.
that's a pretty unique experience.
It's great how the internet has made these connections possible.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So the project that you're working on now, what's the story about?
Um, I don't. I think I'm allowed to talk about it. It is
Oh,
called I'm just the artist on it, so it's not originally like my script. It is fables of pardon me. It is fables of reclamation. It is a medieval story about war, politics, and all told from a POC stars, which I think is a really great view on it.
What
And
is POC stars?
oh, like people of color.
Oh, people of color. Sorry. My brain was a little bit tired there.
No worries.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. So it's telling history from a perspective that we weren't really taught.
I think I'm definitely not the person to probably like promote this just because I've only drawn it.
That's
I
fine.
don't quite know the selling points right now.
Is there something that you would like to talk about more in terms of promotion?
Sure. I have Rex Radley Boy Adventurer. It's an all ages comic book, kind of inspired by everything I would have wanted to read as a kid.
That's fun.
So it's inspired largely. Do you know Johnny Quest?
Sort of sounds familiar. No, I'm thinking of Johnny Bravo. No, I don't know Johnny.
Very different, yeah. Johnny Quest was a 60s TV show where is this a boy adventurer going around the world solving mysteries, but like dealing with the Russians and laser guns and frogmen and stuff, like that pulpy adventure. I'm very much into that. And so Rex Radley is kind of that rebooted for a new generation. It's exactly what I would want to read. It's a bunch of short stories with a very little continuity between them. Like you can read them in any order, and it's just a lot of fun. And combined with everything I loved as a kid, like that Power Ranger stuff, Ninja Turtle stuff, the Mighty Ducks animated series stuff, or the deep cuts.
Yeah. I was thinking we were probably in the same age range there. Child of the 90s.
Yeah, 28 over here.
Yeah. I'm 34.
Yeah, so basically.
Yeah. It was really interesting as you were describing the old thing about how there were so many politics put into kids stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
and seeing who the bad guy is reflecting of who the adults are afraid of.
That's very true. I mean, like if you look up comics during wartime, it super reflects it. I mean, the older you go back, the more horribly racist they are.
Oh
But
god.
I mean, Captain America #1 has him punching out Hitler on the cover. Can you imagine a new superhero coming out today and it's him punching out, whatever figurehead America is against now?
I mean, depending on who's drawing it, like, are they punching out Trump or are they punching out Biden? Like,
Very true. I'm sure both have been parodied ad nauseum online.
oh yeah. Who are some people that you look up to in the creative world, the cartoon, not cartoon world? That's offensive. In the comics world, alive and dead.
Well, I'll start with alive. So #1 is probably Kyle Starks. He's a writer and artist. I'm hopefully he has a script that's being made into a movie right now called Kill 'Em All, and I'm really hoping it gets made so everyone can learn about him more. All of his stories are also written for him. They're very much 80s action movie inspired. It's like a hitman comes to town, retires and goes to a small town, and then every 80s action star, so Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the rest all come to town to kill him. And it kind of showed me that you can make any kind of comic you want, even ones that are very specifically just for you. And I'm like, and it combines heart, hilarity, and just action. I'm like, this is the kind of comic I want to make.
Nice.
Then Ryan Brown is another comic creator. He is most known probably for God Hates Astronauts, which is this bizarre, it is so hard to summarize. I think even he has said it's impossible to summarize. It starts as a superhero parody, but within the first 3 pages, the main character, who is immortal, gets like his head disfigured until it's the size of I don't know, like a beach parasol, and it's just sitting there, and then it becomes his wife cheating on him, and then it becomes invaded by alien. Like it's like a non-cohesive train of thought, but it is so funny, and you never know what's going to happen next. It is such a beautiful vision of just pure creativity.
Sounds like kind of reminiscent of Douglas Adams in the train of thought way.
Yeah, like that kind of random humor.
Yeah. When you talk are you familiar with Mystery Men? I couldn't find the name for a second there.
Is that the Ben Stiller one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
God gave me a gift. I shovel very well.
The guy who can only turn invisible, but only if no one's looking.
Yes.
I think that became like a cult classic after the fact.
Mm-hmm. So have you gotten to meet any of your comic heroes?
Yes, I luckily live pretty close to Chicago, so I get to go to a huge Comic-Con once a year when there's not a pandemic, and I've gotten to meet both of those two, as well as so many other creators, and it has been such a blessing. Like they are almost, unless they're crazy busy, they are happy to give a portfolio review to me, like help me out, give me advice, and it is just such an honor to meet all these people whose work I love so much.
Did you fanboy?
Yeah, I fanboy.
That's so cute. I love to hear when people talk about meeting people they look up to so much. And I was at one Comic-Con and it was so much fun. And we dressed up and had these costumes so that we could actually go in an hour earlier so we could go and meet some celebrities and stuff. And before there was a huge long line, there was still a way too huge of a line for Stan Lee. I didn't even wait. It was just too long. But it was so funny seeing people like hyperventilating about, like, I can't believe he's right there. He's right there.
Yeah, it's so weird. I remember the first celebrity I saw in person and kind of starstruck. It was one of the Brady kids from Brady Bunch, all grown up, and I'm like, oh, well, this is a weird feeling to have for the Brady kids.
It's especially weird if they were a part of your childhood and they look a certain way in your mind, and then you see them and you're like, but they're old now.
I saw the voice of Batman walking around, and I'm like, oh my God, he's wearing jeans like me. I wear jeans. He's a person.
Adorable. Yeah, we didn't have the money for it to take pictures or get signatures. It's like $75 for a picture.
That is one nice thing. Most comic creators are free. If you bring them a book, they're like, hey, you already bought it.
Yeah.
Who'd you cosplay as?
It was actually we were with a theater company, and so I just done a play of Joan of Arc, and they'd let me keep the costume for traveling on the road.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was
good
cool.
use of it too.
Yeah, awesome cape and everything. I wish I still had that. Oh, I would be like wearing a cape when I have my conversations here. Just like get up every once in a while and swish around just to show that I had a cape on.
You live in Sweden, correct?
Yes.
If I am so not knowledgeable about the world, if you had just like leaned into it and said, oh yeah, in Sweden everyone wears capes, I would have been like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we totally do. I actually live on an island of Sweden called Gotland.
Gotland.
Yeah, you should look it up. It's really beautiful. And we have, if you're into medieval stuff, when there's not a pandemic, we have a medieval festival in the first week of August, and it's so cool.
Oh, awesome. Is it like a Renaissance fair?
Kinda, yeah. And there's all these vendors selling like really neat things like cups made out of sheep horns and blacksmiths actually like making stuff, and it's
Oh,
neat.
wow. That's very cool.
Yeah, it feels like it feels like you're halfway between being back in time and being on a big budget movie set with all of these people walking around in costumes, and there's lots of people living medievally like without any electricity and cooking everything over fires. And
Oh, wow. That's very cool. Like a time traveler.
yeah, it's I wish I could get everybody to experience this. So do you have like a blog or how do you connect with the people that are in your sphere of influence?
I guess Twitter. I wish I had a blog. Yeah, I wish I wasn't giving information to a social media giant, but yeah, mostly just Twitter and Facebook to connect with other comic people.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm looking for creatives, I use those, or like when I'm looking for an artist for a project, I'll use those Instagram, and then Reddit, and then like a really dead digital forum called Digital Webbing that is it's straight out of the 90s, but still has a shocking number of people there.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, it's so hard, especially as creative people. Like we think, oh, if I had time to do this, then things could go better. And it's like we have to be so careful of the time that we know we're the best able to concentrate and put that time into our work. And then other things just kind of happen by accident, like, oh, look, I scrolled on Facebook for an hour. That was dumb.
Yeah, social media can be such a time suck. You just
Yeah.
disappear into it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have a good grasp on time management and giving your creative time, having enough creative time for yourself, not just your jobs?
No. I'm in a weird point in my brief career where I'm backed up on projects, so I haven't really drawn for fun or done art stuff just for me in a little bit, which is fine. Like this is what I wanted it to do. It's like I would much rather be a productive artist than an I don't know, I guess an unproductive artist. Like I'd much rather have my projects be actively coming out than just stuff that is just for me. Like that's where the joy lies in for me, is sharing it with other people seeing the finished projects.
Yeah. And when you're doing something for someone else, it's still possible to get that joy out of it in finding how to put your stamp on it.
Mm-hmm. For instance, Gumshoe City Volume 1 recently wrapped up, and as the name kind of implies, it's a big mystery. And I've had people comment or email me saying, "Oh, I almost solved the mystery. This is what I thought was going to happen." And I'm like, I was so close to it. I've been working on this for 2 years. I had never been able to step back and think, "Oh, other people could think of the mystery in a different way." Like at no point did I ever think that, like from an outside perspective on the story, it's like, oh, people are actively going to be trying to solve it themselves and will have their own theories. That's so cool.
I love that. And just thinking that when you're at a Comic-Con booth and people are excited to meet you and excited to thank you for what they appreciated about your work.
uh Here's hoping. That's the dream.
Yeah. It was really fun when at the Comic-Con that I went to, we were traveling with a young lady who was super into comic books. Like she did this I don't know if tirade is the most polite word. Sorry, Elizabeth, if you're watching this, but it was a tirade for like an hour and a half about the different Robins. and the different
Oh yeah.
decisions that were made about the different Robins.
I would very much like to hear that tirade.
She should totally start a channel. And so she didn't care about the celebrities. She didn't care about the booths because we were poor. We were traveling missionary actors. It was a really cool thing that we got to go to afford the tickets to this thing at all. She went straight to the comic book writers and authors, and she was dressed as a comic a character that nobody even heard of, except for like the person who had drawn the character was like, wait, are you actually this character? And she was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
she was just walking on a cloud because somebody knew who her character was, and she got to meet all of these authors and illustrators.
Oh, that must have been that creator's like favorite day. That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, similarly, when like I'll go with my significant other or with friends to conventions, and I always say, so I'm going to go right to the comic section. I know what creators are going to have a line, so if you want to separate for 2 hours, that's totally fine, because I'm just going to be waiting in line for this one guy.
Oh, I just love the atmosphere of places where people are all excited to be there, and people have spent the year excuse me, when people have spent a year designing their costumes and making them and are just like waiting to get their picture taken with total strangers. It's oh, that's the funnest atmosphere in the world.
So much joy.
Yeah. So do you wear a costume?
Very rarely. I'm if I've cosplayed a couple times, and it is always I always make the choice of something that can be mistaken for street clothes. Because I don't know, one, I'm pretty self-conscious. Two, I'm meeting people that I would like to one day be my peers, and and if in a couple years, if we're working together, it's like, so how'd you meet Winston? Oh, I met him when he was dressed in that Daredevil costume. I, I will say I met one of my favorite artists, and I had bruise makeup on my face because I was Daredevil, and they both him and his friend go, oh my god, dude, what happened?
So like what you're doing is more like um it, it's between bounding and cosplaying. And
Yes, that's pretty accurate.
yeah, for those
It's
of you that don't know, bounding, like in Disney, you're not allowed to dress too much like the characters. Adults aren't. Kids can wear Cinderella dresses, but for an adult, you have to wear, you don't have to. An option is to wear colors representative and styles representative of the characters.
I think that's what do they say? Like, boundaries create creativity. And yeah, people probably wouldn't have come up with that, or not nearly in such a creative way.
So is there anything else that you'd like to share or promote or talk about?
I
I don't know
guess
why I said the word promote so weird.
I have we've talked about Overflow, Gumshoe City, Rex Radley, and just one little project. Back when it looked like the U.S. Postal Service was about to die, I created a. Oh, did you not hear about that?
No, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about
Oh
that.
yeah. I know, it feels so long ago. Like, the world's still on fire, just to a slightly lesser degree, and it feels so nice. um, so I made a little free comic to support the post service. I just posted on every social media I could find. If you want a copy, just message me. I'm paying for it. It's inspired by a podcast called The Hum, which is a 4-part series about this detective who, the whole thing is very ambiguous, and it's supposed to be. He's sent to investigate a weird noise in a small town, and it's all told from his perspective as in audio recordings, and it's him slowly getting engrossed in the town as the hum like slowly takes away his sanity, Like he forgets why he's there. Time passes. He realizes like he's grown hair. There's dust everywhere in his bedroom. And it's incredibly well done. One of my favorite podcasts, The Hum by O'Neill and Freeman. And so I kind of adapted it into a comic form. Another reason I'm not charging for it, because I'd feel bad making money off it. And it's called The Blank, where it's basically the same story, but now from a visual design of something indescribable, a blank absorbing a town. And in each issue, I mess with it. So I'll like put whiteout in it. I black out words. I'll highlight words. I'll just use a hole puncher on stuff. So you kind of feel like you're getting into the world as you progress. Like you're starting to lose it as well.
That sounds so cool.
Thank you.
Nice. So the kid project, that is, what's the age? Is it for like from ages like 7 and up, or?
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
Okay, cool. So I can read that to my kids in a few years.
I would think so. Well, how old are they?
They're 5, so they'll be 7 in a few.
Okay.
Oh, they're turning 5 in August. By the time this video is up, they will already be 5.
They grow up so fast.
Seriously.
All my comics can be found at gumroad.com/Winston Gambro. That's the purchase site. Yeah, and Gumshoe City is free to read on Webtoon, gumshoecitycomic.com.
And I will put the links on the screen here and in the description.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes. So the way that I end my conversations is I give hugs. Hugs.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate
also,
that.
because you seem like a pretty cool guy, and I think it kind of fits the vibe of art and comicness, is in my more lighthearted videos, I also end with nostrils of death.
Am I doing that as well?
If you'd like.
All right. All right. Nostrils of death.
Nailed it. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure and check out all of his links in the description. Like this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It's fun. I have great conversations and I do vlogs. Hope to see you. Bye.
This is pretty much the
Best
video ever made.